In 2012, the Nets moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn and they got a new owner, so they wanted to make a big splash. They put together a contender with just 2 trades. The first was All-Star Gerald Wallison, a harmless deal for role players and just a first-round pick. Then a bunch of picks and players for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. A contender overnight. The press conference felt like a championship, but they were actually celebrating the death of their franchise, though they had no idea. They topped out at the 6th seed, winning 1 playoff series. Oh, and those picks? Well, the harmless one became Damian Lillard, and they also became Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. All 3 of those Hall of Famers could have been Nets. And you would think after a nightmare story like that, front offices would learn. But no, there are 3 trade regrets this year that could be as bad as the Nets. Number 3, DeJounte Murray. The Hawks traded control of 4 first-round picks, including 2 unprotected, and it cost them Kevin Huerter, who they had to trade to stay under the luxury tax. Huerter has been so good this year on the Kings. They just set a franchise record with 23 threes in a game. But DeJounte has not done what Atlanta thought he would. Trae is not thriving off the ball, and their defense is average. But the thing that could make this a Nets-level disaster is the picks. In 2 years, DeJounte will be an unrestricted free agent and could leave for nothing. The Hawks were thinking, oh, he'll come to Atlanta. He'll love playing with Trae. It'll be great. He'll re-sign for a max extension. I'm sorry. The situation looks miserable. And look, it's not all their fault because I think Nate McMillan is probably a bad fit, but I could easily see DeJounte saying, I don't want to be here. But if that happens, all the Hawks picks are going to San Antonio after DeJounte leaves. The Spurs could get the next Tatum and Brown. So unless the Hawks suddenly just become a contender, which isn't going to happen, how do they get out of this? The number 1 tool is trading Trae Young. Bleacher Report just said NBA executives are of the belief that Trae Young could be the next player on a rookie max extension to request a trade. So unless they magically become a contender with the Celtics and the Bucks, the Hawks will regret dealing their future for DeJounte Murray. But the number 2 trade is Nikola Vucevic. But first, I've been playing Prize Picks to have more fun this NBA season, and it's awesome. Prize Picks is like daily fantasy, but instead of you against other people, it's you against the projections. So I make a couple of picks every night in the games I'm gonna watch already, and it makes those games a lot more fun. So let me show you the picks that I'm making for tonight. I'm going with Tyrese Halliburton's rebounds because he's been hitting these, and the Knicks are not a very good rebounding team. And Kevin Porter Jr.'s points because he's been scoring well, and the Kings defense is awful. And I'm gonna go more and more because it's just more fun that way. Let me know if you take those picks. Hopefully they hit. You can play Prize Picks in a lot of different states across the US like Florida, California, Texas. If you use my promo code AMHOOPS, you get a 100% deposit match bonus on your first deposit. Hopefully you play with me tonight and have a lot of fun. Thanks again to Prize Picks. The Bulls wanted to make Zach LaVine happy before free agency, which they did, so they traded a package of Wendell Carter, Otto Porter, and 2 picks to Orlando. One of the picks became Franz Wagner, who made the all-rookie first team, but both he and Wendell have more trade value than Vooch already. Then who knows what will happen with this other draft pick this summer. Some mock drafts say it could be top 6. The problem is Vooch was an all-star in Orlando because he ran their offense. Chicago is all about LaVine and DeRozan, so where does that leave Vooch? What they need is a great rim protector, which is Vooch's worst skill. He is a turnstile on defense in the post, and he's about to be a free agent, but the best they did was get blown out in the first round last year. But what about Lauri Markkanen? Was his early season this year on the Jazz a fluke? No, he just dropped a career high 49. So how did they lose him? He was supposed to be key to the Bulls rebuild after the 2017 draft. In fact, he was all rookie first team in 2018, but bad coaching ruined him. He was relegated to like a spot up shooter, and then he was moved to the bench under Jim Boylan. And we thought his career might basically be over. He's gonna go back to Europe. But Chicago sent him to Cleveland for Derrick Jones Jr., a lottery protected first, and a second-round pick. In Utah, Lauri might be an all-star this year. So you have to wonder, what would a roster roster in Chicago look like? With Levine, Lonzo, Wagner, Caruso, DeRozan, Markkanen, and Wendell Carter? So the Bulls front office has messed up, obviously, but the good news is they have the easiest path of any of these bad trades to make things right. I want to explain what Chicago has to do to turn things around, but first is the #1 bad trade, Rudy Gobert. And I can hear Wolves fans saying, oh, but we've looked good recently. Yeah, that's like a couple of games. And that's without Karl Anthony Towns. We have no idea if it's going to be an awkward fit again when he comes back. There is a reason everybody was shocked when this deal happened. They traded 3 of their best role players in Malik Beasley, Pat Bev, and Jared Vanderbilt. And if you include Walker Kessler, who they had just picked, that's control of 6 first-round picks. The idea was to boost the team from a first-round exit team to the NBA Finals. I know that sounds crazy, right? About the Timberwolves, but that's what a package like that is supposed to do. It reminds you of the Anthony Davis deal to the Lakers. They made the Finals and won. The Paul George deal to the Clippers, supposed to be a real contender. I'll admit, he has looked better recently, but this is about the playoffs. And we have seen Gobert with subpar wing defenders before, and the Jazz were a 1 seed. What's really crazy is the Wolves had just picked a poor man's Rudy Gobert on a rookie contract in Walker Kessler. They just threw him in there like he was nothing. But what do they do now? They have to make other trades to maximize this roster. The big gamble with all these trades isn't just the picks, it's the gigantic expectations that get thrown onto your team. Any losing streak hurts like 10 times more because of what it means for the future. Then the only way out is to trade one of your current stars because you already lost all your picks. So we're hearing whispers about both Cat and other Wolves. Brian Windhorst just reported they want a veteran leader and could go in a different direction with D'Angelo Russell. One trade they could make is for Mike Conley if Utah makes him available. And dealing D'Lo would be a move to make the playoffs, but what if they miss? The Ringer says if the Wolves either fail to qualify for the play-in or lose before the second round, expect deafening chatter around Karl Anthony Towns' future. He is the only guy that makes sense to trade. Anthony Edwards is too young and too good. They obviously can't get any value back for Rudy Gobert, but Towns is versatile and under contract for 4 more seasons. Other regrets that didn't quite crack my top 3. The Mavericks look dumb for not signing Jalen Brunson when they had the chance. He wanted to be in Dallas and he begged them to do a 4-year, $55 million deal. Instead, he goes to New York for $100 million and can easily be an all-star. I'm sorry, but the Raptors not getting KD has to be in there. I love Scotty Barnes still, but if they could go back, I think they do it. And we are really seeing now how dumb it was to let Tyrese Halliburton go. Domantas Sabonis having a good year, so are the Kings, but Tyrese is like next level. He's an all-star starter for me, will be great for like 10 plus years, and they got Buddy Hield in that deal. The Kings completely lost. So because of these trade regrets, the Hawks could end up moving Trae Young and the Wolves could move Cat. But what about the Bulls? The good news is they're actually the easiest team to fix. After this offseason, they owe nothing more to the Magic. Vooch will be off the books as a free agent. So they can still build around Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and fix their mistake by getting somebody who actually makes sense with their roster. But for Atlanta and Minnesota, I am afraid we are going to see the deadly Brooklyn Nets trade all over again. And those teams are going to be awful for years while their great young players go to someone else's team. But there's a really positive story about a great young draft pick this season. Benedict Mathurin has been better than anybody thought on the Pacers, and it turns out if a basketball coach didn't swoop in and save his life, we wouldn't even know Ben's name. Check it out.